So joining us now to talk a little bit more about the significance of this trip is U.S. Ambassador to Poland, Mark Brzezinski. Thank you so much for joining us, Ambassador. We spoke earlier about the significance of the surprise visit to Kyiv by the president, so close to the one-year anniversary of the war with Russia and Ukraine. Tell us about the significance of him going to Poland, meeting there with Polish leaders, but also the leaders of 9 NATO nations on this sort of eastern front of NATO.
Thank you for having me, Anne-Marie. Poland is the frontline country of NATO next to the Ukraine crisis. It has been supplying the Ukrainian people with defensive articles so they can defend themselves against Russia's attacks. And they have taken into their houses and homes millions of Ukrainian refugees. So they have extended themselves with regard to this Ukraine crisis in a profound way. And the significance of President Biden's brave, courageous trip to Kiev, Ukraine, and then to Poland cannot be overstated. It will reassure this country that the West will protect every square inch of NATO territory, including Ukraine, including Poland, as Poland supports the Ukrainian people defending themselves.
And we know that Poland's Prime Minister shared that the country is in talks with the U.S. over increasing a U.S. troop presence there. I believe there was a recent increase. What would that look like? And what is the message? Why send more troops to Poland?
Thank you for that. Well, because Poland is a country that has experienced the Holocaust, the worst crime in history, a vicious attack during World War II, and occupation during the Soviet era. So to many Poles, what's happening in Ukraine is 1939. And today, there are over 10,000 U.S. troops deployed in Poland, spread out all across the country, serving on Polish bases. And on top of that, President Biden announced last June the first permanent U.S. military installation in Poland, the 5th Corps U.S. Army Forward Command Headquarters in Poznan, Poland. And that was so important to the Polish people that the word permanent was designated with a U.S. military installation here. Recently, the decision was made by Secretary of Defense Austin to replace the 101st Airborne deployed in Rzeszów, Poland, with the 10th Mountain Division. So our storied military divisions are serving in Poland already, and that is a great source of reassurance for the Poles.
I recognize that you are the ambassador to Poland, but he is going to be also meeting with the Bucharest Nine. And, this is a time where perhaps, leaders of these nations might not have an opportunity to sit down with the president of the United States. Can you talk about kind of, as a result of circumstances, the growing importance of maintaining connections with some of these other nations?
Sure. Well, this entire eastern flank of NATO is anxious and uncertain regarding what Putin will do next. The fact is that collective security works, and the meeting with the Bucharest Nine is an opportunity to reinforce that message that we are all in this together, that we will protect every square inch of NATO territory, but also to listen and learn from the Bucharest Nine. These are the 9 post-Soviet countries on the eastern flank of NATO, to hear what they're uncertain and worried about. And of course, they're up against Ukraine, which has been subjected to a vicious, horrific attack by Russia. So it's important to hear their concerns.
Ambassador Brzezinski, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.